Hi guys, and welcome to Quinton's Guitar Corner, and in this episode it gives me great pleasure to be here once again with Mike from The Drowning, and he's going to take me through the rig that he essentially uses in the band from their upcoming album, right down to what they use in a live setting. And yeah, well, without further ado, let's take it away, Mike. What have you got here guitar-wise?
Well, this is a Kramer SM1, so this is the reissue of the 1989 Kramer I showed you earlier.
Yeah.
These are Gibson made. So, made in Japan, but I think that an excellent recreation of the original. To be honest, if not a bit better.
Right.
I think the build quality is second to none. Brilliant tone, brilliant to play, super smooth neck, fast fretboard. It's really nice guitar. It's the main tool for the band for me. Just across there's the red version. So these are my go-to guitars for studio and live, mainly live. So yeah.
And what pickups do you run?
These are EMG. This is an EMG 85 TWs there with original Floyd Rose bridge.
Right.
So yeah, they haven't skimped on these, you know, with budget parts or anything. So it's a great quality guitar and at a really good price as well.
Awesome. So, and with it, is it a bolt-on construction?
This is
or
a neck through. It's exactly like the original 80s Stage Masters.
Right.
You know, they've gone from the original drawings since Gibson took over.
Right,
and
okay.
they literally recreated it and done a fantastic job.
Sure. And do you find that because I can see that the necks have, like, say, a painted finish on them, do you find that, you know, you end up like hitching yourself up on the neck, or is it very smooth?
Smooth, just like the Charvels, you know, and the Jacksons. Very close to the Jackson for me, this is. So, yeah, it's smooth. It's like silk.
Okay, amazing.
So,
and what does this button do?
Same again, like the original Stage Masters, just for tone qualities, different pickup selection there. You can adjust the tones. These are coil tap, these ones, though. Right. So you can adjust.
Oh, right, okay.
So, but whereas the originals weren't. But yeah, so many things you can do with these guitars.
Solid.
You know, and I totally recommend them, you know.
They remind me very much of, as I was talking about earlier, with the comparison type guitars that are, you know, that are on the market at the moment.
Well, that's right. They haven't skimped on anything, you know. They've gone in and recreated, you know, a quality guitar, and I'd recommend this to any guitarist, you know.
Awesome. And are the tuners locking tuners, or are they just standard?
No, they're just standard, just your standard tuners. So,
awesome.
Very good guitar. I've had this since about 2013, and from a live point of view, it's fantastic, reliable guitar.
And do you use this for any recordings? Or
it's been used on the album, yeah. We've used it on leads on the new album.
Okay.
This was used on rhythm and lead on the previous album.
Right.
So it's a great studio guitar as well. You know, you get the tones you want. So, yeah.
Amazing.
Definitely recommend one of these.
Nice one. Brilliant. And then with the Floyd Rose that you're using, I mean, do you have that locked down, or do you...
No, it's there to be used. It's obviously there's no whammy bar in there at the moment, but no, it's there to be used, and we've used whammy bar on the albums. And it's a great setup, you know. It keeps tune well. And
do you find that with the way that Floyd Rose is set up, do you find that, you know, because I can see that the cavity's not very deep.
It's not a deep cavity, no. So,
but you get enough out of it.
I get enough out of it, you know. You can get a good dive bomb on that and stuff, and you know, I never pull back too hard on them anyway.
Right.
But yeah, so that cavity is just right
for what you do in terms of what you buy. Amazing.
Yeah,
all right, well, nice one. And then, if you want to, should we have a look at the red one over there?
If you just
I'll take this one. Why not?
And I'll bring this one over. No, this one. Exactly the same spec.
Yeah. Right
down to the last screw. This didn't start out life as red.
Right.
So it was exactly the same as the one you got there.
Oh, okay.
To briefly go into this, Kramer were going to issue these in red sometime during 2013, 14, something like that. Didn't materialise for several years later. Me being impatient. decided to get it custom painted
Right.
by a local luthier, and he came back with this. I gave him the original photographs which Kramer had produced
Right.
at the time to say this was coming out, and he worked off that, and it came back absolutely stunning. It's almost like a factory paint job, but now they have released these,
Right. Okay.
which
so-
is kind of typical. But no, I wouldn't change this for the world. These are my two main axes for the band, you know.
I see. And I don't think just to give a bit of scale to the audience, I don't think the light does that guitar enough justice in terms of the paint job that's
the
come
paint
back from
job
the
is
sleeve,
very
yeah.
deep candy red.
Yeah.
You know, it sparkles. It's been very, very well done.
Yeah.
You know, it hasn't been rushed at all. It's a professional paint job. And
And do you think, I mean, even though I guess you could argue no two guitars are the same, I mean, do you use this live as well, or do you use it more in the
this one
studio?
this one gets used live as well. I can just switch between, you know, one or the other.
I see. I mean, do you switch between tunings, or do you keep them the same and just have a
both-
preference for...
Both in the same tuning. So it's there. One's there to back the other one up. You know,
Right.
if there's any problems.
String
You
breaks.
know, but you know, if you something happens and you've got to literally put this one down and pick up the next one,
Yep,
you're feeling exactly the same guitar.
I see.
You know, you're not losing anything. You know, so
And I guess, like, you know, because I guess the way you play with your right hand and how you hit the strings and
Yeah.
that sort of thing, and I can see your setups are quite
yeah,
meticulous in terms of how what your preferences are.
yeah.
So then, in theory, if you were to do a blindfold test, you wouldn't really notice, you know, a difference.
No,
so
that's
much.
right. With these SM ones, they are pretty unique, and yeah, they are exactly the same in every way, setup wise, string wise, everything.
Awesome.
So yeah, very good guitars. They work hard, and I wouldn't change them for the world of them. Like I say, we've been through the collection. There's some fantastic, awesome guitars in the collection. Reluctant to use a few live, so
course.
these are the
workhorses.
workhorses. That's right.
Amazing. All right. Well, with that, we'll move on to amps. Okay. So now we'll move on to amps. So, Mike, you can tell us what you use.
Well, behind me you can see Blackstar Series 1s. I'm using a Series 1 200.
Right.
Been using Blackstar from about, I think, 2012, something like that. We went over to Blackstar from Marshall because we were using TSLs and DSLs, which were fantastic amps. But it was only reading a review on Blackstar, and it was Gus G
Right.
raving on about these Series 1s, and managed to get hold of one. Absolutely amazing. I love them. They're heavy, they're bulky, but what a great all-round amp.
Yeah.
You know, studio, live, it's so reliable. Full valve, KT88s, so much power, you know, and you've got so many functions on there. You know, you probably know yourself on a few of these Blackstars. They got some interesting
Features.
functions and that.
Yeah, definitely. I guess what Blackstar tend to do well is the blend between what they call the traditional British sound and then the traditional American sound, right? So, and then cab-wise, what are you guys using?
We've always used Marshalls.
Marshall.
Yeah, always used the Marshall cabs.
Just stock 1960s?
1960.
Right. Okay.
We've been using them since day one, right from the start of the band, you know.
Awesome. And then in terms of just going back to the Blackstar, do you essentially use the you correct me if I'm wrong, but you're running the clean channel as
We're
your
running the
power
clean
amp?
channel, yeah. So a lot of people will use the distortion channels because you can get a lot out of it. I found I wasn't quite getting what I wanted. I can mess with the settings a lot more and get pretty close, but I wanted that something more. So I'm running it clean into my pedal board,
Right.
and that's where I'm getting my tones from and my distortion.
Right. I see. Okay.
So it's kind of my signature sound for the band, you know.
Sure.
So
Whilst allowing you to get, you know, that decent amount of headroom that you'd need to be able to really roar on stage. Almost.
exactly, yeah.
And I guess playing the music that you play as well, it's really important that you guys cut through, you know, and being in the tuning that you're in as well. You've got to have the clarity.
That's right.
and all
And
the
these
power.
amps really do
Yeah.
cut through. And it just, the combination works well for us, with the EMG pickups, the Blackstars, It's we do get a lot of comments at gigs saying you guys are so cut through clean, the clarity that is there, and we've had a lot of comments like that saying our sound is so true and bright, but yet we don't lose.
Yeah,
we don't lose. There's no muddiness. There's nothing. It's
very, very clear, which is good. Which is exactly what you need. I think there's a danger to sort of go too far down the other way, or too too far away from the other way, and almost where people will dial back a lot of things. But if you're able to get that right balance, and especially being in standard tuning as well, I think it really does help, which is good. Yeah,
definitely the Blackstars for us. So they're just, we've used other amps, we've tried other amps, and I'm set on these, definitely.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, well, let's move on to pedals that you're basically running.
So it's not a overly complicated board. It's quite simple. So from the tuner running in, I've got a power boost, which I use for if I'm going into like a lead line or something.
Right.
Lead solo, just to give it a little bit more.
Is it a clean boost or is it a distortion saturation?
No, it's a clean boost.
Clean boost,
so,
okay.
That with the distortion on the end, which is a Line 6 Uber Metal.
Right.
Now, it's probably not everyone's pedal of choice.
Sure.
It's probably, a lot of people probably turn their nose up at that. I like it. It works for me. I get the tone I want. And I've been using it for many, many years. Alongside that is the Echo Park delay. Now, I run a delay and a distortion at the same time.
Right.
It acts as a natural reverb.
Yeah.
So, which I like.
Which I've heard Eric Peterson from Testament does something similar to that.
It gives a natural reverb. So, running that with a distortion, you wouldn't notice it too much, but it just works, and the mix is great between those two pedals.
Right.
The chorus I only use for like clean sections.
Sure.
With the delay. If I'm going into a lead line, I use the flashback as well.
As well, yeah.
So technically then I'm running two delays, which works really well.
Right.
So it gives it a very spacious, echoey, broad sound.
That kind of like stadium rock,
yeah,
very 80s.
Yeah, which
sound.
With our style of music, there's always that light and shade. So you got the heaviness and then you break into the leads and stuff, and it just opens the song out more with the melody lines. And like I say, if it's going to be a certain lead line, which is under some vocal sections,
right,
hit the boost just to push it through. So this is mainly for a live situation. Right. So we don't record with this.
No.
This is just for live. So I find that power boost cuts through when it needs to. Mm-hmm. The Line 6 delay accompanies the distortion nicely. If we're going to go into a lead line or a melody, we hit the flashback, gives it a bit more warmth. Mm-hmm. And the chorus for any clean sections.
So when you guys do record primarily,
mm-hmm.
Do you guys favour amps, or do you embrace, especially like technological advancements that have happened, or, what's your approach?
Well, on the album before, which is called Senescent Signs, which came out in 2016, we used Fractal's Axe-Fx.
Right.
And that did the job perfect. We used the lead tones on there, the rhythm tones. It was absolutely brilliant bit of kit. This new album we've done, we used the Kemper.
Right.
And we dialed in an EVH.
Yep.
The Blackstar and a Laney. So we used a combination of heads. All the effects were through the Kemper.
Right.
So none of this came into play at all during the recording for myself, whereas Jason was using effects pedals, whereas I didn't.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much for taking the time with me today to take me through your vast collection of guitars, your rig, your setup that you use in the Drowning. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been a pleasure too. Thank you, Quinton.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much.
And you.
Could you let the viewers here know where we can find you?
You can find The Drowning at The Drowning Wales. We've got lots of stuff on YouTube. We got albums on YouTube. You can listen to our stuff. You can buy our stuff at Drowning Wales Bandcamp.
Right.
All the albums are available there. So yeah, please check us out, and we got a new album coming soon.
Awesome. All right. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Hi guys, and now I'm with Jayce from The Drowning. So Jayce, what do you have here in terms of your guitars?
I have an Ibanez RGA IX6. It's fairly new. I haven't used an Ibanez before, but I've had this roughly about 6 to 8 months. It suits my style quite well. I like the hardtails. I'm not really much of a tremolo person, and it's easier for the tuning for me.
Of course.
It's very light, which I like. Very thin, as you can see. It's got a lovely back on it, which I like, and lovely ebony fretboard, which is very quick. It's got the Ibanez Wizard Nitro 2 neck on it,
right?
Which is very nice. It's a bit wider than the guitars I've used in the past. But it's nice to use. It's thinner at the back, so it's not like the classic C shape that you normally see.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go for something different because I've been using for years EMG pickups.
Right.
So these got Damasio's in it.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, these are made for this guitar.
Right.
They're the Damasio Fusion Edge pickups, which are really nice sounding. It gives me a different tone rather than the EMGs that I was using before. It's got coil taps on it, which you can use, throughout the configuration of the guitar, and a Gibraltar bridge on it.
Nice. And are those locking tuners that I see?
Yeah, they're the go-to locking tuners there.
Oh right.
Back.
Did they come as standard?
Yeah, they come as
standard.
standard. It's come as standard. Yeah, and for a reasonably low price guitar, it's got a decent spec on it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess tonally, against what Mike does. I guess with you being on the passive setup, do you find that you're able, with this guitar, to be able to complement the sound? Or
yeah, because the previous guitars I've played with before, they were active EMGs, the same as what Mike uses, so we were kind of very much similar sound, so I wanted something slightly different. So when I was looking for a Washburn with the same setup as Mike's with EMGs, I thought this time, because I saw this guitar with the Damasio's, I thought I'd go with a different sound. So,
of course.
Yeah, but I think it suits us well. I played it live a couple of times, and it seems to blend in with what we do. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And I really do like the finish on it. So you were saying, I mean, it looks kind of. I'm not sure if the camera really does it justice, but it does this. It has this kind of green look to it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be matte grey, but it does give off, to my eyes, a green colour, which is nice. I like the finish of it, and I specifically like the back.
Mm-hmm. And I guess it's got a string through body as well, so
body,
to help with the resonance.
And to be honest, I mean, I like neck through guitars, but this is a bolt on, but it plays like a neck through. It's very nice to use. It's different to usual bolt-on guitars, but yeah, it's
because I guess with bolt-ons they're quite boxy around the neck, but Ibanez seem to have got that heel.
Yeah, it's very sleek.
Right,
it's very sleek there. It's very smooth at the back there. So yeah, and it's a lovely soft feeling fretboard. So yeah, it's good.
Awesome. Okay, well let's run through your other guitar that you have.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Hold on.
So I'll take that one.
The one used on the current album, or the album yet to be released, is my Schecter Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Which I've loved. I've played for roughly 5 years now. I love the colour, first of all. That's why I bought it originally, because of the colour. Neck through body. It's got EMGs, 81 and 89. Again, coil tap, push pull.
With the 89s you get that. Yeah. I used to have one myself. Yeah.
So it's a guitar I've been comfortable with for years until I saw the Ibanez. So but I play either live. This was played. Most of the leads on the album were played with this, and a lot of the clean tones were played with this guitar. So yeah, it's a bit thicker, a bit heavier than the Ibanez, but. Yeah, it's a lovely guitar to play, nice and soft. I always play 24 fret guitars.
Right.
I find the 22, even though it's probably better for my size because I'm a small guy, but I find 24 easier to play.
Easier to play, right? I see. And then I guess just going back slightly with the actual the EMGs, the 89 in particular, because I find that it's an unsung hero in terms of a pickup in my eyes. I used to have it on a Les Paul back in the day, and the ability to go to the coil tap and get that kind of stratty type tone, and then go into a searing lead with it. It's such a good neck pickup.
Yeah, definitely. I would say this has probably got more tones than the Ibanez.
Right.
You could get more tones out of these than the Ibanez. So if we're recording, it's my go-to guitar, really.
Right, I see.
But at the moment, that is my number one guitar, my Ibanez, and then the Schecter.
And then when you're playing leads in general, are you traditionally on the neck pickup or the bridge pickup, or does it depend?
It depends. Depends on what kind of track we're playing.
Sure.
Some I'll play the neck, some I'll play the bridge, depending on what track we're playing at the time and what we need, what kind of sound we need. I play a lot of wah-wah as well, so I tend to keep it on the bridge for majority of them.
Awesome. All right, nice one. Okay. Well, in that case, we'll move on to amps. So now we're going to talk about amps with Jayce here from The Drowning. So, Jayce, over to you. What do you use amp-wise?
As Mike previously have said, we use the Blackstar Series 1. I use the 100-watt head there behind you.
Oh, right, okay.
We did use Marshalls for a long time, but I know Mike was interested in getting the Blackstar. Once he got one, then it's such a bright sounding amp. I had to change from the DSL I was playing through the Marshall. So we got rid of the DSL and the TSL that he was playing through, and I got myself a Series 1 here. So that's the amps we're playing through at the moment through Marshall cabs.
Okay, awesome. So I noticed that with Mike's setup, he has the 200-watt equivalent, and then you play the 100-watt. Is there a noticeable difference between the two, or?
Not really. I mean, he dials it back a lot. There is a feature on there you can dial down the power on there. Right. So we're pretty even. He does like to play loud. That's the kind of player he is. But yes, so he dials it back so we get
an even sound.
An even sound, yeah.
Completely awesome. And like Mike, do you just run the Blackstar like it's a power amp, as if you just go through the clean channel and then get all your distorted tones?
That's right, yeah.
Oh, right, okay, awesome.
Yeah, the both of us kind of play almost the same kind of setup, really. We found that it's easy just going through the front of the amp on a clean channel, and then we get all the sounds from the distortion pedals that we use on the boards.
And I guess it's just easier in that sense because you have the option to, especially if you're using rental gear from somewhere else, and you've got your sound set up there. You can literally just go into the clean sound.
Yeah, it helps when you're going abroad, when you go into other countries and things like that, where you have to use their equipment. So as long as they got a decent clean channel, decent head there, we just plug our thing in. There's our sound,
and it's pretty much consistent. Yeah, because combination of hands, guitar, pedals, amp, and then there you go. That's awesome. Okay, awesome. So we'll move on to pedals now. So if you just talk me through what what your signal flow is, and I can see you've got a switching system there at the bottom.
Yeah, again, this is fairly new, that the switching system, because I didn't really like tap dancing all over the pedal board.
Yeah.
So I've got this Joyo PXL 8, and it's got we've got 8 banks of 4, so you can put 32 patches into it. Literally all the pedals are on all at the same time, and you just patch in which pedals you want in that certain patch at that time, which works well for me because you've got a rhythm tone, a lead tone, clean. I only need the 4 really, to be honest, so it's very, very useful. So at the moment on there, I've got on the first channel there, I've just got the distortion, and I've got the digital delay, and I change over to the lead sound, it changes delays, and it also brings on the equalizer for me as well, which gives it a boost. I bring down the bass tones and just boost the mid slightly on the lead tone, just to cut above the rhythm there. So. And
then is the flashback running into an effects loop, or are you running it straight in, like I guess within the pedal?
No, it'll go straight through the front, the same as the other. I quite like the tone of that. As I say, I use the flashback for the lead tone. And I've got the Boss Digital DD6 there, which I use with the rhythm, like Mike, use it as a kind of almost like a replacement for the reverb, because the reverb's not on the Blackstar. So, and I just use the boss equalizer then, just as I say, to boost the tone, to boost the lead. And then on a clean tone, then I'll use the two delays together, and that'll come on with the TC Electronic Corona Chorus,
right?
Which is a lovely pedal. Anyone that uses TC Electronics know that you can download patches straight into the pedals, which is great. So use the tone print and you can get any tone you like on there. So very nice pedals. I like the TC Electronics a lot.
Awesome. And then and then I can see you use a wah also.
Yeah, just a your average crybaby wah, which is great for leads, and it's just one that I've used since day dot. Really, I haven't used any other wah pedals. I like the sound of that it gives us. So yeah, that's what I use. With my distortion, I've gone through loads of distortion pedals.
Right.
I used to use the same as Mike's.
Right, I was going to get to that.
And the Metal Zone by Boss, I've used countless pedals. I'm a bit of a tone chaser.
Right, I see.
I haven't found my tone yet quite. I keep tweaking it now and then. So, but I've had this amp tweaker for a couple of years, the Type Metal pedal, which it gives me a lot of gain, which we need with the stuff we play. And it's closest to the sound I'm kind of trying to get at.
Sure.
As many guitarists know out there, that you chase your tone for years until you get that sound.
You want.
like,
yeah, definitely. I mean, I see that you don't necessarily run the volume too high on the distortion, but you've got like a, I guess, essentially what resembles a tube screamer with a tone and a sort of, which I guess is a saturation and a gain.
Yeah.
But then. Yeah, you don't. It's not overly complicated. I don't think.
No, it's a great pedal. It's got its built-in noise gate on it.
Oh, amazing!
And it's really really crisp. And you've got a couple of switches here that changes it from a normal sound to a thrash sound.
Right. Okay.
And you can also have this at the front. You can have another pedal in the loop, and you can have it pre or post the pedal as well. So it's a versatile pedal. I like the amp tweaker a lot.
Amazing, nice one. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time in hosting me over to go through what you use guitar wise, just pedal wise, and amp wise as well. Would you be able to tell our viewers where we can find you guys on the internet in terms of The Drowning?
It'll be The Drowning Wales.
That's all good. I'm sure you guys are able to search on Facebook, look for The Drowning Wales.
We're on Facebook and
Instagram and all that kind of stuff.
All the main ones, yes. But look for The Drowning Wales and you'll find us.
Brilliant. Nice one. All right, well, thanks again.
Thanks a lot.
Nice one.